one of the guitars, the only guitars I think I can really think of that I kind of regret selling. I had one of these in about 2014. 2013, 2014. And I think I paid £500 for it, roughly. It was probably the very first time that Fender relicked a Mexican instrument before these kind of things got even more fashionable, I think, than they are today. So the relicking thing is definitely a love-hate thing, and I think a lot of people think it's sort of unnecessary. What attracted me to the Road Worn in the first place was that there's kind of nitro body, unfinished neck, basically, maple 7.25 inch radius, and I think this was the first Fender guitar that I bought back in the day. Now this one is not entirely stock, this belongs to Chris, friend of the channel, Southwest Shooter, and here we have some bare knuckle trilogy suite, so a bit hotter I think than what would have been in there. I think initially there were Texas specials in there. Now I hear that some of these necks and stuff were actually made in the custom shop and then sent down to Mexico. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if they have a shared parts bin for these kind of things. But one of the comments that people did have on these at the time was that the wear is very uniform model to model. So presumably they're using some sort of stencil, or they were. Although I think they brought back the Fender Vintera Road Worn, which again, the wear on those seems pretty uniform, although it's a bit different to these. So the silliest thing about this guitar is that there's no wear at all between frets 9, 10, 11 and 12, which is obviously where no one plays guitar here, do they? But they do play guitar here all the time, and here all the time, but never here. That's something that we know to be true about guitarists, isn't it? They don't use the 9th to the 12th fret. Aside from that, the wear is potentially up entirely to personal taste, isn't it? They've used fairly large frets, which is a nice thing on this type of neck. The neck itself is V feeling, that sort of thing. It's comfortable though. I feel like my memory of the guitar is a bit nicer than the guitar itself actually is. This one's strung with 9s, I think, which are a bit light for me. So when I dig in, these strings here are a little bit, could be heavier for me to be comfortable with it. I think this actually comes from the era where Fender were making some of the finest kind of Mexican guitars that they did. So they had the classic Player series, which now you know, still sell for more money than they sold for back in the day. And I think those again were like custom shop designs, like the Baja Telly and the awesome Sonic Blue 60s classic player Strat. As well, they were bringing out things like the classic players with lacquer, the Highway 1 Strats, these sorts of things. This era of the Mexican kind of Fender stuff, to me, stands out as being like some of their really coolest stuff. And this kind of spec wasn't possible to find except for on like an American Vintage reissue type Strat. Now they've brought out the Vintera Vintage Road-Worn stuff, and the only kind of issue with some of that is that they've got a Pau Ferro fretboard, which does look lighter and it does look a bit drier. You know, back in the day with the 60s road-worn Strats, they were using actual rosewood. Those look really cool. I would recommend these for people looking for that kind of thing. If you're not paying too much for them, you know, I would recommend these over the Vintera series anyway. Let me know in the comments if your experience with those has been different. Also, the Tellys had a really nice neck, and later on in the series they started to pare back the relicking a little bit and make it look a bit more natural. I think that happened, and then they eventually discontinued it. The reason that I kind of regret selling one is because it was the guitar that I first started to kind of gig with again when I stopped doing a real job and tried to become a guitarist. Went well, didn't it? It's doing alright. Anyway, then I sold it because I made myself a parts caster, which I really liked. For about 500 quid again, I think I sold it. So now it would probably be worth a little bit more because they've kind of gone up in value a bit. But yeah, I regret it because it had some nostalgic kind of memories for it. But as I remember actually playing it as a guitar, I don't know that I loved it, but you know, it would be nice to have that thing around. I think they look quite cool as well. The fretboard does get dirty. I do really dig the Fender road-worn stuff. So let me know your thoughts on the road-worn thing in the comments. Did you ever have one? Do you like it? This one, like, it's got a slight V which kind of smooths out as we go up the neck. I think really cool looking guitars, especially once you know, age them a bit yourself. I do still think that that 9 to the 12 fret thing is a total mystery. Who decided that was a good idea? That's the question for that, isn't it? Anyway, let me know your thoughts on them in the comments, your experiences. I'll catch you in another video soon. The one guitar that I regret selling.